Broncos country, what is up? It is the Kodiak Broncos podcast, and today I'm going to be talking about how much is too much for a Zach Allen deal. What should the Broncos be willing to pay a guy like Zach Allen, who has one elite year of play on his record, but the rest very, very solid. But his most recent record of elite play was this past year, so that'll definitely factor into negotiations. But I just want to mention a couple things. First of all, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. You can always wait till the end. Hopefully, I'll avert it. And yeah, Thursday night, I'm going on Mic'd Up Live with Marquee Sports starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, so be sure to check that out. Follow me on Twitter if you like what I have to say on here at Kodiak Broncos, and let's dive right into it. So, Zach Allen, he's from Connecticut, and like any competent football player in the Northeast, it seems like they always go to either Penn State or Boston College, and Boston College is where Zach Allen went. So BC to Denver, like BC to the Denver Broncos, that's low-key a pipeline since we've had Simmons and Zach Allen, both Boston College Eagles who came to the Denver Broncos as well. So before he was a Bronco, he was obviously drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in the 2019 draft with the first pick of the third round. They drafted Zach Allen. And you know what's funny about that? He was actually 7 picks, I think, before Draymond Jones. And yeah, so one of the biggest gripes about Zach Allen from Cardinals fans while that free agency cycle was going on, where we ended up signing him to a 3-year, $45 million contract, was a lot of them said that he was very injury prone. And a lot of them were hesitant to pay him like a lower tier market deal for free agent interior defensive lineman because of the fact that Zach Allen had, not been the, how do I put this, exact model of health or consistency throughout his career. So he had some good play, and he had some really good play while he was on the field, especially in 2021 and 2022. But in 66 possible regular season games through 4 years with the Arizona Cardinals, he started in 35 of those games, and he actually ended up playing in 45 of those games. So he missed about, granted, I think that's usually about 5 or 6 games a year. Yeah, 4 roughly, a little bit more than 4 actually. So yeah, he had really nice production in 2021, but in 2022 it really took off. When he got 20 hits, 5.5 sacks, and 10 TFLs. Now, what's funny about him is if you watch the Cardinals Hard Knocks in season, where they had an absolutely disastrous year in 2022, and it ended with Kingsbury firing, and they gutted the whole coaching staff and front office. He was given the nickname of Mini J.J. Watt or Mini or Baby Watt after being teammates with him, and you bet your rear end that J.J. Watt was able to pass some things down to Zach Allen, and you just never know what kind of impact veteran leadership can have in a place for a guy like Zach Allen's career. So 2023, he signed a 3-year, $45 million contract in 2023 free agency. This was the same day as McGlinchey and Powers, so that really emphasized that Denver had to get better in the trenches. It was kind of 1 year after the Russ debacle, like the Russ disastrous season with Nathaniel Hackett had already happened the year before. So we wanted to get better and give him literally no excuses as to why this couldn't work. Unfortunately, it didn't end up working. But so Draymond Jones also left in free agency that very same year. He signed a 3-year, $51 million contract with the Seahawks. And I actually didn't know this until a few days ago, but he actually ended up getting cut. And now he's on a 1-year, $10 million prove-it deal with the Tennessee Titans. So yeah. Now, one thing I think that really hampered Zach Allen from truly showing his potential in 2023 was, first of all, he wasn't as good as he is now, obviously, because the last offseason really, I think can be penciled in as to why he did such a good job, with his pass rush coach, but we'll get to that later. But he played next to some complete jags. I mean, what was that one guy's name? Jonathan Harris, Matt Henningsen. Those guys have provided absolutely nothing on our roster. And the Denver Broncos knew that. They knew that they had to upgrade there. They knew that they had to upgrade next to Zach Allen. And also, with the interior guys playing better, and with them adding John Franklin Myers and Malcolm Roach, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide, we also got some very, very unforeseen development by Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito. Now, Jonathan Cooper, I would say that it's not surprising to me that he did become this good. Nick Bonito, it absolutely surprised me that he became this good. But once again, I'll talk about this in the next slide. He ramped up at the end of the year, but he still really didn't come into his own until this past year. So 2024, Denver made plenty of moves to indicate that they had to be better on the defensive line. Our run defense just completely crumbled in our biggest games of the year last year. And unfortunately, in 2024, it also let us down against Buffalo and Baltimore. But hey, we have actual avenues to fixing it because we have so many interior guys who can push the pocket. We led the league in sacks. That doesn't happen by accident. So I was really happy with the D-line play this entire year. All games except for two, I would say. Buffalo and Baltimore. And we just have to find a way to get bigger at the nose tackle position as well. Maybe a guy like Desmond Watson out of Florida, 450 pounds, would really help us out there. But, the additions that we made this last year, created a better defensive line ecosystem, combined with Benito and Cooper also breaking out. Like, Benito ascending into one of the game's very best edge rushers, and he is going to want a bag as well. But Zach Allen attributes his breakout to his pass rush coach, B.T. Jordan. So, if I remember correctly in the article, it says that he talks with B.T. Jordan after every single game. And, him and B.T. Jordan go review his film on the Tuesday night after following the games, and then the Wednesday after, they discuss how they can attack whoever is going to be his matchup on the other side. And I remember this while it was happening. I remember seeing every week, it felt like PFF was posting the, leading pressure guys from that past week. And you always saw Zach Allen's name at the top. And pressures throughout the year, like guys who had the most pressures up until that point. Until Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, Aiden Hutchinson had some insane pressure numbers, but I'm pretty sure at one point, Zach Allen did lead the NFL pressures, and that's absurd for an interior guy. Zach Allen was still good throughout the year, and I know he did have that heel injury, albeit he was not as ridiculous as he was at the beginning of the year, but I can attribute that to the heel injury and the fact that he played 1,130 snaps. And by the way, for reference, Jalen Carter was the only guy who beat him 1,160 snaps, and that was with Jalen Carter having 4 extra games to do it because they both played in 16 regular season games. So Jalen Carter had the wild card round, the divisional round, the NFC Championship, and the Super Bowl to surpass Zach Allen in snaps. So that was absolutely ridiculous, and you just can't do that to a player again. I mean, we were able to do it this past year and I don't think Allen, it was something he refused necessarily, but we just can't do that to him again. Okay, we need to get more rotational pieces inside or in the game so that it provides some stability to Allen's health situation. So, all right, my cat was meowing, so I had to go get him. So, what's next? Well, Zach Allen was plenty worth a new contract. In our front office regime, they get those done early and they get those done often. Okay, with guys like Miners, with guys like Surtain, with a handful of others, there have been minimal bumps in the road when it came to extending them. There's no drama like there was with Elway, where we always waited until the last possible second for the guys that we had franchise tagged to work out a new deal. And listen, we only have 1 year sample of him as an All-Pro, and we're going to have other guys who need contract extensions as well. Nick Bonitto is going to need one in the same league year within the next year or so. And also, Bo Nix is going to need one at a certain point 3 or 4 years down the line. So you're going to have to keep that in mind as well. Now, looking at other interior defensive linemen, Chris Jones makes $30 a year. Wilkins makes $27 a year. Guys like Madubuike, newly signed Milton Williams for the New England Patriots, and Quentin Williams, they hover around $25 million a year. Same with, I think, McNeil on Detroit, and then Derek Brown as well. But Zach Allen reportedly wants around $25 million a year. And listen, I have a hard time believing the financials around this because for a guy like Zach Allen, I just don't think it seems like a priority. Like, if you listen to him talk, just knowing everything we know about him being just such a highly respected guy in the locker room, I don't necessarily think he's like the one to bag chase. And I'm not saying he's bag chasing by wanting $25 million a year. I definitely would want to bump into my pay if I was making $15 million a year and I was, an All-Pro, which is something I had never done in my career. But once again, I just don't really believe that he wants 25 a year specifically. Now, it is important to note that his agent, Tom Condon, has represented guys like Sam Bradford in the past who have absolutely scammed the life out of NFL teams. And I'm not saying that Zach Allen is going to be scamming our team or whatever. But once again, I just don't really I don't really believe the financials around this yet. And by the way, the cap is going to go up once again, and we have rich owners who can pay a lot of money up front. So if Zach Allen wants a gigantic payday, within the next year or so, and they want to front load the deal, then we have the means to do that as well. But Broncos country, I will leave it to you. So I don't really have a set opinion on this. I don't really know how much is too much. If they were to sign him I want him to get extended. Like, I want to see him in orange and blue again. But I understand everything has a price, and I expect him to be back with the Broncos just because there hasn't been a lot of smoke around, oh, the Broncos are going to, like, make a move and, move off him or pivot or something like that. But how much is too much? What are you willing to pay Zach Allen? I don't have a real formulated opinion, but I can definitely be convinced of pretty much anything. And remember, it's better to sign players early because sports contracts are inflationary. So, yeah. All right, that does it for me. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Mile high salute.